Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is Broman Clash, and tonight I want to talk about a topic that is known by many, understood by few, and some even participate in it. And some of you may say, what's this topic about? Clash, what is it about? And it's called, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, Black Lives Matter. Some of you may say, oh, what? You're going to have like a negative critique on it, or you're going to have a positive critique on it. Honestly, if you know me, I'm just going to give my take on it. See, look, like I said, like I'm going to say, and I'm in support of movements. So, Black Lives Matter, that's a beautiful movement. I can understand, especially when it comes right down to, the kindness and the heart that comes forth from the movement. But, some of you may say, why do Black Lives Matter? And some of you may, argue with them and say, why do you ask that question? And you may have the same question as well. But at the same time, you can't blindly just follow trends. And then some people would disrespectfully say, all lives matter. Even though, at this moment in time, it's true that all lives do matter. But at this current time and this current predicament, Black Lives Matter. Now, it's like when it comes right down to that, Black Lives Matter is very important because, it exposes a problem that's been going on in America for at least like how many, not even years, not even decades, for centuries. And some of you may say, why would you say centuries for? And honestly, if you just really look at America's history, I'm just going to give it to you straight. See, look, when it comes right down to Black Lives Matter, the phrase was more done back then than it was said. The reason why I said it was more done because back then, when I look at, Nat Turner, Granny Nanny, see, look, honestly, and I'm naming off heroes and, heroines or, sheroes, as some of you might say. There was Harriet Tubman, Nat Turner, and no, not the porn star, but, the revolutionary hero who went around on various plantations freeing his people and killing off white slave masters. That's a form of Black Lives Matter. But to go on before that, I'm just going to tell you off straight. Now, the reason why Black Lives Matter is very important because it also exposes what the hell America is all about, and a bit of its history. See, look, if you know about America's history, now first and foremost, I'm going to put it out like this: the first type of insurance were not on were not on houses or even cars. It was on people. That's right, people who look just like me or some people who look just like you. People of African descent. And it's very funny because when it comes right down to that, people will think like, Black Lives Matter. Oh, it's just it's just very trendy. Let's go start a revolution, but yet don't want to sacrifice their lives. Yeah, I know I look like a blatant hypocrite. Talking about why are you talking about revolution, but yet you're in the comfort of your own home. Let me tell you something. In order for a proper revolution to happen, first you need to start from the ground, your foundation, and sometimes your foundation may start at your own home. And it doesn't start by what? It doesn't just start by going out there and shooting. That's reckless, and you're gonna get hurt, and that's kind of revolutionary. You're trying to make sure a revolution has little, if possible, and no type of bloodshed whatsoever. Now, some of you may say, how does this tie in, with Black Lives and, Black Lives Matter? See, look, Black Lives Matter, like I mentioned before, and I was talking about how the way, the original insurance and the original insurance and stock, mind you, were not of, places or even, houses, horses. It was on people of African descent, like I mentioned that. So, when people talk about, wait a minute now, we have to focus on property, but then, it's funny because everybody wants to focus on the inanimate objects instead of the one that's living. And if a bit of America's history, they try to sugarcoat it or try to push it away, try to make, slavery look, beautiful, very romantic. Like being a slave is like the same thing as being like having Stockholm syndrome. And it's just like what Harriet Tubman once said: I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if they knew that they were slaves. Now, some of you may say, how does this tie in with Black Lives Matter? Now, think about what I said about, how the way people looked at, black people as property. They didn't look at slaves as people. And especially when you look at the history, especially when, you had women were raped, children were experimented on, men were castrated, men were hung, women were hung, kids were hung. Man, overall, if you know about if you see my previous video where I did, my take on revolution, also my take on stereotypes, you will know that, they also had like a stereotype about black people and even, Native American people, especially during, in their culture's prime. You know, people like us were like savages, had inferior minds, especially those of our white, white people, especially to white people, our white brothers and all that crap. And then, we didn't have any type of culture. Our religion was, was a heathen religion. We were considered to be, compared to that of monkeys, animals. We were never even thought of as human because of our skin tone. But, like I mentioned before, the reason why they pushed that out is so, a stereotype could be produced so they could produce more money. And, when it comes right down to Black Lives Matter, it's exposing the fact that, America doesn't even care about, lives. Especially black lives. They don't even care about that. And some of you may say, aren't you a bit late to the party anyways? And I'm like, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But, this has been an ongoing thing, for at least how many centuries now? So how the hell am I late? It's still a relevant topic to this very day. Now, back onto the topic, back onto what I was saying. After, trying to answer a few of your problems, a few of the questions that you may have. Now, when it comes right down to it, Black Lives, it exposes, America's problem and how it typically look at the outside. It typically focuses on the image instead of the background. How the way they try to portray that, oh yeah, it's a paradise for everybody. Everybody's free. Everybody has an opportunity. See, look, don't think that freedom and opportunity mean the same thing, because with freedom, you're able to choose what the hell you're able to do without any type of barriers whatsoever. But with opportunity, once something is open, once you have say if there's like a gate with $1 million and it's open slightly and you bolt very fast and then you grab it, that's an opportunity. Freedom, the gate will be open at all times and everybody will grab the amount that they want. Some people would want more than $1 million. Some people just need like 10,000 just to get by. Okay, now you get it. But if you really live in America and you know its history, and especially feel its effects, you will understand that it's not pretty. Especially if you are a poor black person in America. Some of you may say that, oh, now you're trying to pull the race card, but listen to me. If you really know its history, and if you know America's history, and especially when America just repeats its own history, but try to mask it up and try to make it look, real good, even to the point that, how many times did people go to the UN and talk about this problem, especially like not even once, twice, probably like 3 times or something like that. Because the notable ones were the fact that, there was Malcolm X, and there were a few other people that talking about the problems over there, in America, especially, with the church bombings. people spraying down water hoses and all that other crazy stuff that was going on over there back in the 60s, 50s, and 40s. Even to the point that the UN, either some people noticed that or some people went up to the UN and said, "This is what's really going on," and the UN called America out on his shit and talking about, "Wait a minute, you gonna try to tell other people how to act, but yeah, you can't fix your own problem right there back in your own home? Like, come on." And then the same thing had to happen, even to this day, especially with Barack Obama being president. It just shows that even if you are, and some of you may not agree with what I'm saying, but even if you are blackface in a hot place, nothing has changed. Even if you are the president and you are black, let me just put it like this: you're just a black face in the White House. Nothing's gonna change. And they called Barack Obama. They say he was on vacation or something like that, and then called him up and told him, like, wait a minute, you see what's going on over there in the country you're supposed to be representing? Look at the bombers. Look at the people suffering, and you don't care about that. And they called him out, and that's probably like the second or third time. And I think it's probably like the second time that happened in the United States. But anyways, some of you may say, how does all of this tie into Black Lives Matter? I just gave you the examples right there, especially when it comes right down to it, especially with the stereotype, especially when it comes right down to the disrespect, especially when it comes right down to the indoctrination that, black people are looked at as less than human. They're meant to, follow the TV, make themselves look like what you see on TV, look like savages. They're meant to follow like a certain type of image, and if the people don't follow that image, then you say they must be brain dead. No, they're not, because they know that's not in their nature to be like that. Not to follow trends, but to be themselves and to help each other. Now, some of you may say, how does all this tie in with Black Lives Matter, Clash? You didn't answer our question, Clash. How does all this tie in with Black Lives Matter? Simple. It's proven a point. It's proven that, we are not what the TV says. We are not what the music video says. We are not what the lyrics say about us to current day context. Not what mainstream says. Not what, what was going on back then. Especially with the black face, the stereotypical white, big lips, wide eyes, big nose, trying to disrespect, beautiful African features just so they could have, their way to make sure that, the poor white folks who make up the majority of the population, mind you, to look at, poor black people or black people in general, look at them as a threat or look at them as a source of, ridicule. And sadly enough, this happened onto us to this very day. Now, some of you may say, how does this tie in, Black Lives Matter? And I'm going to keep on saying, look at the history, look at the disrespect, and look at what's been going on. See, look, I'm going to keep it real. This, Black Lives Matter has been going on long before the phrase was even mentioned, let alone even said. It was done. For example, there was Nat Turner. If you know Nat Turner, not the porn star, mind you, but the revolutionary, but the rebellious slave. Now, he was rebellious because of one reason only. Because he was making sure that some of his people were safe and killed white slave masters to ensure that his people were free. But, within every revolution or revolutionary, there's always like a snake or a snitch or somebody who see only the individual gain but not the whole gain. So, he was, told off and he got killed. But then there's Harriet Tubman, who did the same thing. And here's a quote that Harriet Tubman once said. She said, "I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if they knew that they were slaves." And she was very well known for, the Underground Railroad, especially, freeing 1,000 slaves and making sure that they get up to the North safe, or even past the North. Making sure that their families get there safe. She was very intelligent. Don't let the Harriet Tubman sex tape get to you, man. Don't listen to that crap. Seriously. Now that's an act of Black Lives Matter, and then there's Queen Annie, Granny Nanny. You know, she was also a hero that made sure that her people were safe, and this happened in Jamaica, especially especially with um especially with the Maroons. The Maroons, and the Maroon revolutions, and how they were going on over there in Jamaica. And she was also a prominent leader because she made sure that the women and children and the men were okay, and she trained the men along with a few of her colleagues, to make sure that they were not only well trained for wars and revolutions at hand, but to make sure that the families were protected and the families were safe. Now, if that doesn't scream Black Lives Matter, I don't know what does. And then I'm going to mention Frederick Douglass, who was known as an abolitionist, who was against slavery, and wrote and proved that a black man is capable of great intelligence, breaking that mold and that stereotype. Then you have Marcus Garvey, who was well known for the Pan-Africanist movement. And some of you may say, how does that tie in with Black Lives Matter? Well, let me tell you why it ties in with Black Lives Matter. Because he cared about his people, and his people were black or African, whichever way you look at, slice it, dice it. He cared about his people, regardless of what continent or what part of the world they were in. He cared. Now, the reason why I'm naming all these examples as a part of what they call Black Lives Matter is because it's important to know the history and understand the context of it. And especially when you need to understand why Black Lives Matter. Not because it's a phrase, not because you want to look good so you can get admitted to heaven or some shit like that. No. You want to know what it's about? It's about remembering what our leaders went through, remembering our leaders, and making sure that our people know what the hell's going on. And making sure that nothing like this happens again, even though it will, and it might happen again. But they are making sure that, hey, look, Black lives do matter. Don't let the TV, don't let the radio, don't let mainstream media, don't let the music videos that show off black women gyrating and all that other shit, man. Black men looking like deadbeats, man. That's not even the fucking case. Just breaking the mold, breaking the stereotype, making sure that people are out there, and making sure that people know what's going on. But there are also those who say all lives matter, blue lives matter. And in case you don't know, because they say blue lives matter, referencing to the cops, and especially when there were 2 cops that were shot here in New York. And I mentioned that, and I mentioned what I had to say, especially I mentioned what I had to say about that. And it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's ironic, but I would say that they had it kind of, police, they were pretty arrogant, but they kind of had it coming because of their attitude. And then they say blue lives matter. Man, come on, man. Come off it. And then, they say, they have the nerve to say all lives matter. No, the hell they do not. The only reason why you're saying that is so you can have a way to say what the hell you want to say, and you want to, dilute on, the black struggle. Now, when people say all lives matter, yes, all lives do matter. I'm not trying to disacknowledge. I'm not trying to trying to disacknowledge that or any kind of way whatsoever. But at the moment at hand, when you see black women, black men, black children, hell, even black infants getting hurt, getting shot, corrupted cops, and what's so crooked about America, anyways, is even more crooked than a goddamn state, than a broken ass state. Now, especially looking at that, especially with the amount of years of oppression that people face, especially during slavery, Reconstruction, revolutions, civil rights to now, especially on the war on drugs. Now, that's the thing. You can't disregard that. Do not disregard it. Black lives do matter, all lives do matter, but when you disrespect a movement, that's when it's taken to the wrong context. And if you did it on purpose, well, fuck you. That's the only thing I gotta say. Fuck you and fuck those who say all lives matter because they're trying to disrespect a movement. But those who say it just to prove a point, okay. But remember, all lives do matter. But if I see you silent on a black matter, and especially when it warrants outrage, let's put it like this. If you are silent during a time of evil, that means you are evil. And if you're silent, especially when a black life has been maimed, harmed, destroyed, and you have the nerve, and you have to say all lives matter, but yeah, you don't speak upon on that, and I just give like this great old big middle finger to you for that reason alone, because that's a huge disrespect. And with that, YouTube, I know it sounds a bit strong. That's my take on Black Lives Matter. This is Broman Clash signing out one. Hope you have a great, evening or morning, depending on what part of the world you're in. And if you agree with what I said, leave a comment and like, respectfully saying why you agree, or leave a dislike or comment respectfully if you disagree. And like I say every single time, I love all of you, and I hope you have a great night tonight or a great morning. Later.